First one, we talk about the drink the tea because you don't have a caffeine in there, the drink. So it's much better for your health. And the different, drink the coffee because it's a too big drinking, in the world, I think. Huh? One's coffee in the West and one's tea in the East, but now it's mixed. Uh, Starbucks in China have thousands of stores right now, you know. And in the English, the breads, they have the English afternoon tea. And that tea is different. That tea is the red tea. Usually, is this is called red tea, and they pour the sugar in there, and also sometimes they put a gin in there. So that tea tastes very good, but it's different traditional Chinese drinking the tea. And also, the tea going to Europe is visit the Silk Road in that time, in the 2000 something years ago. They use they transport a lot of silk and the teas, to the Europe. And also the tea leaves in the tea field, because the teas have to grow in the warm climate. You cannot be too hot and not too cold. So in the southern of the China, in the Fujian, mostly have the lot of famous tea in there. Of course, you got a lot in the Hangzhou, the famous place. You got the West Lakes. They got a lot of famous tea in there. And also the Chinese wear, like the tea bowl, teacups, and teapot. They start in the Song Dynasty. In the before, they don't have this fancy stuff. We can talk about these type of things later in my collections. And also in the modern thing we call the Kung Fu teas. And there's a Japanese tea ceremony. These are two big difference. I was in Japan, have this tea ceremony. Boy, that's take a long time. You drink one cup of the tea. And their tea is different. They still go to traditional. They use the boiled teas. Then he have used uh, kinds like a mixture or something. You have to mix the like a make the tea. Let the bubble come out. And the Chinese Kung Fu tea is just warm the teapot. Use the tea leaves, and this tea leaves are different original Chinese tea. I'm going to talk about that later. And now the tea is changed to the modern tea house like a boba or the milk teas. You know, actually are not too relate to the teas. Same thing, you go to the fancy restaurant, if somebody asks you, hey, if you ask the waiter, say, hey, I want a tea. He say, okay, what kind of tea you want? You want yeah, whether it's hot, give me a cold tea or something, cold drink. They might be bring to you called a Long Island tea. Boy, if you got a Long Island tea, then you're finished. You know, so never order that Long Island tea. That's a very, very strong tea. It's actually, you got maybe 3 or 4 shots, the rum and the vodka in it. Okay, let's go to the next. This is a general map for the Silk Road and also the sea route. In that time, they have the company called the East India Company, run by the Dutch. They're located in Jakarta. They move this lot of business, the tea and the silk and the China, through their ship, from the Far East to the Europe. Okay, next. And also, this tea in Chinese, is very popular, and everybody we drink the teas, and finally this tea is going to the Persian, and this is also is like a Silk Road. It's part of like a Silk Road. The Persians' tea is very strong. Their tea is not like a traditional Chinese tea. They like the very, very strong teas. So go to the next. And also, I just talked about, the Dutch, in the 16th century, you have this East Indian company, and then they move a lot of, teas and the silks to the different colonial and go back to the Europe. Okay, next. This is the one we call the Guma Cha Dao. It's a tea horse road. Mainly, their time is almost same like Silk Road, the history. But this one, almost 90% for domestic. Of course, you got something go to the Pakistan, the Southeast Asia. And mainly, they're going to Tibet, and also go to Xinjiang, and also go to Mongolia. Because Tibet and Xinjiang, Mongolian, their habit is meat eater. They eat a lot of meat, and they don't eat too much vegetable. Therefore, they need this drink the tea. Their tea is called a break tea. The tea like a break. Every time, because this one is easy for their move on the horseback, and also because they're so tight, so it can keep for a long time. And this is from Yunnan province, and through the mountains or something, go to Tibet, then going to the Xinjiang and Mongolia, because the tea have the a lot of vitamin there, so they mix with the milk. Mostly the milk is mixed with the lamb's milk or the horse milk, and the taste is different. Regular tea, it tastes a little bit like you put a little bit of salt in there. I was have one in the, I visited the Shangri-La in the Yunnan. It's okay if you get used to it, it's okay. But this one helps them to digest, and also, they got the vitamin there to take a part of the vegetable, you know. This is the map what the ancients would call a tea horse road. And for hundreds and hundreds of years. And a lot of people, in the run by the we call it Jing Sang. Jing means, in the Shanxi, they're running these things, because they support their fleet, the horse fleet. They move the tea from the Yunnan and going to the Tibet, going to Xinjiang and the Mongolia. They make a lot of money. So Jing Sang, in that time, 7th, 8th centuries, they're famous. And also the Jing Sang is the first one has the idea about like the banking. This is another story. Let's go next. This is the part of the picture. You can see the tea horse road. And some of them, this through the rock. And you can see the horseshoes marking there even. Every time they go there for hundreds and hundreds of years, they leave a mark in there. And also, you can see it, this is a very hard road, long trip, it's not an easy road in that time. Okay, let's go next. This is Yunnan go to Tibet, see, because the elevation is suddenly increased dramatically, So, and in that time, the Yunnan mostly their tea is only one tea, it's a poor, the red teas, Not like a green tea, got so many different kinds. Got a Longji, Dragon Well, then you got the Teaguan, Iron Buddhas, these kind of all different names. Red tea, mostly we all talk about is poor. The famous in the Yunnan, even you got the university, in Yunnan. I was visiting there, especially study the poor, how they can improve in the tea, the taste and all kinds. So many, the direction. Also, they have the marketing, how you marketing tea, all this stuff. Okay, now we talk about my personal collections. I collect this tea wells around 25 years ago, and some was very interesting. I put these two comparisons together. The left, there is middle of the Qing dynasty, the teapot. I got this teapot from a gentleman. He worked for the AT&T in China for 10 years. So he retired, he come back, and he decided to sell his stuff. So I borrowed this teapot from him. And I was curious, how come this teapot have a big dishes on the top look like, Now, one day I collect the right one. This is the Song Dynasty, very famous, called the Zado. Zado means in that time, they think this one is for the rich people when they eat. They got maybe the fish bone or something, they are spitting there. But later time they studied, they found a painting from the Song Dynasty. And these things group with the tea ball, all this tea stuff together. Now they think another theory say this is from the tea. After they cook the tea, the leftover the tea, we call it cha cha, okay, leftover. You may pour it in there. They just the leave it there. So this jumped another notch, from the speedball to the tea well, And this right hand, this one, around Qianlong dynasty, Qianlong period. This is, I think this is called the enamel color, because of the regular color, you won't stick on this kind of red clay. Okay, let's go next. This is a Song dynasty, pretty famous. They call the Jianzan. And this one, my collection, they have a ring, is like silver, and they gilt by gold on the top of the ring. And these things, they call it Yudizan. In the Jianzan, you got so many different names. In Japan, they're very, very famous. They got two of them, and they call it Guobao. They have like a bubble in there. So they call it Tianmu. Tianmu. Tianmu means sky, Tianmu, what you call it, the sky's eye or something like that. Actually, Tianmu is a mountain. All these Jianzan come from that area, the mountain area, because the clay, they have that kind of clay in that area. That two pieces in Japan is a national treasure. One is from the Dechuan Jiakang, coming to until today. Now the one up in the Tokyo Museum or something. Other one, finally they're going to a big temple in Japan. So every year you got a big ceremony. They will come out, have a tea ceremony. They use that bowl. And finally, in China, find one, but it's a broken one. Same thing, but it's broken. So now in China, broken one is the Chinese treasure also. This is called UD type. You got another one called the rabbit's hair. The two major different kind, in the 建材. And this one, you look the real one, is really pretty. They got different color come out, This one is called, the Song Dynasty. They call it Hongding. The red 鼎窑, the 鼎窑 kiln usually it's come out all as white, but they got some special one. You like this red one, and also they have the black one. Very rare, more rare piece. Usually, they got like all the white. And this one, I'm very lucky. I collect this one, and about 7, 8 years ago. This is when I saw the auction that time. And I'm very fortunate to have this piece. And also I have another two, same thing. I didn't show you because the time. That one have the cover. It's different type. Okay, we'll go next one. Okay, this is called the bigger pot, teapot. And also you can see the tea culture has changed in the Chinese culture. It used to be very small ball, small thing, now go popular, go like a bigger one. And these things also enamels on it. And the top one, the right one, have a horse. We got this story called Qin Qiong Mai Ma. That's the Chinese history. Talk about a guy, he's a hero in the Chinese history. But when his life is going downhill time, he had to sell his horse, That's why we talk about in your life, you're always going up and down. But it's okay. You're going down, you're going up. This is talk about the time. Down below that one is called the lion dogs. Now all these big teapots, this only I show part of them. I bought for an antique shop in La Jolla. And I think, Lily know them too. I don't think they exist. But when I bought them, they tried to close down the shop. In that time, that's about 20-some years ago. They're already near 80 something. They want to close the antique shop. And they used to be open the antique shop in China. He told have after President Nixon visited China, so they opened up the market. So she told me he have 9 antique shops in China. And in that time, he said he bought 30 of these teapot for one guy. And now he retired. He come home to the American and then stay with his daughter and the family. So he brings some. He left over. Got about 6 left, and I bought them all. I think this is very amazing. And I'm going to tell you how I start collect the teapot. This is a real nice one. This all come from Yixing, Yuyuan. That's a very famous teapot maker. Okay, let's go next. This teapot is very rare. This teapot is the first my collection around 25 years ago. This teapot, look outside this metal, the pewter, right? But inside is red clay. And also the handle and the top and the we call the liu, the zui, the mouth, they all made by the Hetian jade. So it's very complicated. And you need 3 different types of experts to make it. The first one, you need to make the inside red clay, called Yixing Zisha. Then you have to find a guy know the pewter. You can use the pewter surround them. Then you'll find another one is jeweler. You know how to dealing with the J and pulling them together. And also these things, you also have most of them have the carving on the outside. They leave some palm. Sometimes this palm is more interested in the part themselves, because these are all very famous people leave the palm. Like the left one, the small one, is made by the very, very famous teapot maker. His name is Yang Pengnian. The family got three families. You got one brother and one sister. His sister is very famous, called Yang Fengnian. Also is a teapot maker, you know. And in this teapot, they are not designer. They only make the teapot. But this teapot we call the 曼生18世, means it got 18 different types, designed by a guy named Chen Mansheng, Mr. Chen Mansheng. He designed this. Fortunately, I only have 8 of them. Today, I only show you part of them. And this teapot have a story. How I can kill these things is 25 years, they don't have internet or something. I saw a advertisement. In that time, I always look at the advertising, make my collection. He said, I got quite a few teapots want to sell. So I went there. And yes, got a lot of teapots. And I asked him, why you want to sell? He said, the thing is this, they have the manufacturer to manufacture the high-end glass for the bell hall, for them to use. That's maybe for a telescope, the high-end telescope, something. So he got the manufacturing in Taiwan. After he got the manufacturing in Taiwan, and after a few years, he divorced his wife and married his secretary. And his secretary is crazy about Chinese antiques. So every year, they ever go to Hong Kong twice, maybe more. But these are all her collections. After they're in Taiwan for almost 15 years, so he decided to retire. So he sold the company and he moved back to San Diego area. After moved back, retired, after 5-6 years, and he passed away. Then his wife, not too many years, passed away also. So he leave all of his belongings to his only son. And his son is not really happy with his father. He thinks his father betrayed his mom, So he don't want to see anything. He just tell his wife, get rid of everything. So I go there. I don't know about a teapot, but when you be a collector, you have to have a good eye. We talk about basically you need 3 fundamental rules. Number 1, we call it new. It's a xin. You have to look at them very good, like a new one. Second one, we call it 准, means accurate. You have to see these things as accurate and pretty. Accurate means very pretty. You're not like to say, these look ugly. Third one means you have to search, make sure this is the right one. Means that you have to find out this is the correct piece. I don't know too much about teapot, but I know these things are very hard to make. That's why I bought them all. These are my first teapot collection. Then I keep collecting other stuff, like the previous I introduced from the Chang's antique shop, and so on and so forth. and also collect the you know the 建盏, you know and also you know the 红顶顶窑. These are very rare pieces. Yeah, I get into it. I studied book. I studied learn what's the tea culture, you know. So this is two of them my collection. Okay, let's go next. This is another two different type. I just tell you, I got 8 of them, all different shapes. And the principle, all like I said, all of them have the carving on the body outside, and also palm and the palm, and all by the pretty famous people in that time. These teapots are around, you know, in the Qing Dynasty, the middle of the Qing Dynasty, you know, and they're only popular about 50, 100 years. Then they don't make it anymore. They give the reason, say, Yixin teapot, we have to see the red clay. This is when you want to see the red clay. Actually, they say, this teapot is so hard to make. You need a triple the time to make this kind of teapot. Can you imagine? You make the red clay first, you make the pewter, you need to find a jeweler, make the Hetianyu outside. And this teapot made by another famous one. They call it Zhu Jian. Also, you can say that his name is Zhu Keqing. Zhu Jian, because his mark, you know, the Zhu Jian. This is very, very famous. Make these types teapot. The same thing like the Yang Pengyan, the previous one. Okay, let's go next. Okay, this teapot, they make a very famous one called Ge Mingxiang. This is the middle of the Qing Dynasty. They replica the glaze for the Junyao, the Song Dynasty. The Junyao pretty heavy, the glaze. So look easy, you know, but when you burn them to the oven, it's very hard because of the glaze, we call it 挂釉, can keep in there. If you're too thin, the glaze is going to dribble. So very thin after all. But look, this one is very heavy. So this family, he got a special formula to make this 钧窑. That's why the glaze is very thick, you know, so it looks very, very great. And it's different, the replica one, you know, the glaze is very, you know, very thinner, you know. And this is the one, you know, in that time, is very famous, and his stuff is not too many. Unfortunately, I got one, this one. Let's go next. Okay. These two, the more modern teapot. And the left one is made by the called, you know, the Yixin Zhusan 陶瓷研究生产社出品。Means this is called in China early time, you know, before they open up. So everything, they have a special manufacturer, only made this red teapot. This organization, you have a lot of famous people for this organization. Famous one today, we call it Gu Jinzhou. Maybe you're not familiar with the Gu Jinzhou, but his teapot sold for millions and millions of dollars. He got one just sold last year, I think, in the Hong Kong Sotheby. Sold for 20 million, something like that. You know, and he was in these things, but in that time he cannot put your name on it. You have to put a group's name on it. You know, so the bottom mark, you know, is called these companies. And this type of the teapot, they call the mump. Mump is the flower, the mump, this type. 菊花式的 这个 teapot. Yeah. The right one, the small one, have a little frog on it. This is made by the Jiang Yong, this lady teapot maker. She's very, very famous. I think she's around 90 something now. So her, oh, she passed away already. And she's her teapot always have the flowers, a little frog on it, something like that. It's look very nice. He's the first one to make this kind of teapot. And the last one is Gu Jinzhou. He don't make this kind of like a frog or teapot or make it look nice flower or something. It's traditional, So if you say somebody say, oh, this is Gu Jinzhou, but on the top they got the little frog or something like that, no, this is fake. You never make that kind of stuff. Let's go next. Okay, these two is all Jiang Yong's. So the left one is called the pomegranate, teapot. Look like a pomegranate, see? He used the different color, look like a pomegranate. And the last one, he make, the tea leaves, something like that, make the teapot. So, go next. Okay, this one, we made, it's called the Tibet teapot. So it's big because their tea is cooked. They boil them hot. Then you put milk in there, and mix them, and then put a little salt in there. They drink it. This is typical Tibet teapot. The handle is made like a snow leopard, Inside is copper, and outside this is the silver made, and that's why they drink tea is like a teapot, like drink a soup. After the meal, they drink like a soup. It helps them digest. Okay, let's go next. Okay, this is the one for the study room they use, but they're all made by the red clay. The left one, they got make the like a pot. They call it for the pan or something in there. And this guy called the Yang Jixing. And he's the one to make this letter. He's not carving though. He used some kinds of gold mixed with the clay. Then the writing on it look like like a little bit gold if you close look. And these kind of things nobody know how to make anymore. He's the one specialized to develop this one. This front is also longevity's word. The other side, I forgot to show you guys, is a peach. And with the leaves, the bunch of peaches are together. About 7, 8 peaches together. And the middle one is the bamboo shoots look like. And this is for the hold the water. And when you're writing something, and then you need for the water for the ink table, you can make the ink juice. This is a little water because it got a little hole on the front. And the right one is for the Well, for paper, you can hold the paperweight. Meantime, this is made by the Jiangyong also. Okay, the next. Okay, so my conclusion is this. Our culture started 2,000 some years ago, during the Tang Dynasty. That's around, the 7th or 10th century. And then until the Song Dynasty. Also, I want to mention in Tang Dynasty and the Song Dynasty, they don't call it drinking the tea. They call it eating the tea. Because you can see it from there two. They have one called the whale cutter. They cut the leaves to the very, very fine, very thin, like like a tea saw. Yeah, like the tea dust. Then they cooked, they drink. So they drink is with the tea. Not like today, we should pour tea in there and I want to drink the water and throw tea leaves away later. In time they call it 吃茶, and until in the later time they got improving and improving the tools. They got the teapot and the teapots. All this can come later. The teapots start becoming smaller and smaller. So they change the habit. In that time, the Silk Road, tea is by the sea, or the cha is by the land. We can roughly distinguish the Silk Road is going to the overseas, and by the land going to domestic, and also southwest, southeast Asia. And the tea type, the green tea got so many different types, and also distinguished by price. I went to China one time, go to a tea shop, you can buy the tea. You got a one kind tea called a monkey's pick. This is tea trees only grow in the cliff. So they have to send training the monkey go to pick up the leaf. Boy, that tea is very, very expensive. I never tried it. I don't know what the hell with the monkeys, So I never tried the tea. Very expensive, like a gold price, They call it monkey pick tea leaves, Of course, they got a famous one, it's in the Fujian, you call it the Guanyin Iron Buddhas. That's very famous. Tastes real, real good. And the ones in the Hangzhou, they call it dragon whale. And Hangzhou's tea also, they mix with the water. In Hangzhou's water is the density is very high. So you can see there, you threw the nickel in there, it won't sink. It won't, on the water. And so they use that kind of water to pour the oolong, the longjing, so taste is good. And also now the popular called high mountain teas, in Taiwan, called Ali San tea, very expensive. It tastes pretty good, And you go to the Kung Fu tea in Japan, the ceremony. Be honest, I sitting there for almost 40 minutes, just waiting for my turn. Have that little cup of tea, My leg is sore, After all, of course, it's a ceremony. You can see it in different cultures, And their tea is called da cha. They use a mixture, stuff. You start keeping, the rolling the tea until they have a bubble come out, But they are very serious for that tea ceremony. And China, the Kung Fu tea is much casual. And they usually put some dishes on the side, you can eat. And then now, just like say, we start popular for the young peoples now. We got the milk teas, got the, the bobas, all kind of different names, This start, in the Hong Kong and also go to the, the China, now the, in Taiwan or in the United States, all very popular now. Okay, and today is my presentation, and thank you very much to watch. And I hope, because the collection is my hobbies, and so, and the Chinese have 5,000 years history in there. So a lot of things in Chinese history got so many changes, especially within 200 years. Got a war, got this, that. A lot of things we still don't know. We still cannot find what it is. So if something, you got an idea something, please let me know. I know my collection is just part of it. It's not complete. And I wish get your opinions.
Okay.
And thank you very much.
Thank you.